genre.
In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the Ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. Today, we're remaking the original Ghostbusters. So, Scott, do you believe in UFOs, astral projections, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance, spirit photography, telekinetic movement, full trance mediums, the Loch Ness Monster, and the theory of Atlantis?
Yes.
But more importantly, is Ghostbusters a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
Yes.
Also, yeah, that's true. All right, fair enough. This is a rare trifecta movie.
It is. But it's a weird one because, like, when it was remade, it wasn't remade 1-to-1. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It was kind of like it was a remake, but it was also like a reboot. And then when it came back again, it was like also a reboot, but also a legacy sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, especially because the first one, because they had the actors, but they weren't playing the same characters.
They had like some of the actors. Yeah.
Well, because then, like, spoiler, but Sigourney Weaver is then in at the very end or something like that.
Right.
And they kill Bill Murray.
Oh, wait, is Sigourney Weaver in the 2016 one?
The Lady Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's in the post-credit scene.
Oh, no, she's in the post-credit scene for Afterlife.
I thought she was in both.
Is she in both?
I thought so.
I don't remember. I didn't watch all of them.
I also just watched the first one. I was really tempted to watch Ghostbusters 2 because that's the first Ghostbusters I ever saw because Comedy Central.
Sure. Yeah.
But no, I just rewatched the first one.
Yeah.
Let's not go crazy. So Scott, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
Halloween tradition.
Indeed.
Tell me about who you are, just in case anyone's hearing your voice for the first time.
Yeah, if this is your first episode of mine on Ideal Remake, I think I have almost a dozen at this point.
Something like that.
Yeah,
at least.
It's a lot. So if you're sick of hearing me, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm the sort of head honcho over at Dueling Genre. Gave Sam's podcast a home. Yeah, I'm a podcaster. I have a podcast called Franchisography, where my co-host and I, Nick Jimenez, talk about movie franchises, and we sort of add context to why they are the way they are in every particular thing. We talk about the development of them and the evolution of them, and then the plot of the movie that we ended up getting. And it's a lot of fun, and people seem to like it, so that's good.
And when this episode will be coming out, you'll be wrapping up your season on the Underworld series.
Yeah, that's true. It'll be over, and we'll have started, I think, our next one.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah. So good stuff.
Yeah. So then, do you remember the first time you saw Ghostbusters?
I do. In fact, there's parts of it that are just blasted into my mind forever, but it's more sound related than visual related.
Yeah.
So the sound of the card catalog cards getting shuffled out of that is imprinted in my head.
It's
as
such a good sound.
I had to have been 4 when I saw this the first time, and it was the scariest thing I'd ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's that. There's the music, which is very specific and very Ghostbusters. A lot of the eggs cracking and cooking on the counter.
Yeah,
that's
a
another
good one.
sound that's cemented in my brain.
The sound that's probably most cemented for me is them turning on the proton packs.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's a lot of sound memories. But the thing that I think that this is one of the movies that really jump started my love of horror and being scared, because it's such a safe way to be scared as a kid.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, because as I will talk about, all of the ghost stuff, Slimer, even Slimer to a certain extent, but if you want to exclude him because he's a goofy little goblin thing, fine. But all of the ghost demon stuff is pretty scary. It's played pretty straight.
Yeah.
And it's these 3 comedians and a very good actor who are sort of playing the comedy of the scenario, but all of the horror is kind of just played very straight.
It's true.
Yeah.
Especially with the librarian at the beginning.
Especially, yeah. But even like, when Dana gets possessed, that's a scary scene.
That is a genuinely scary scene.
Yeah, that's like something out of Poltergeist, a movie I'm positive you've never seen.
Accurate.
So, yeah, so it's interesting, and I think it's one of the things that all of the other Ghostbuster movies have gotten wrong, including, to a certain extent, Ghostbusters 2. Which is a lot sillier than the first Ghostbusters. All of the other ones are like, oh yeah, Ghostbusters is a comedy. And it's like, well, it is, but like, if you put other actors in those roles, it wouldn't be. Most of that was improv.
That's true. I also haven't seen the most recent one, the one with the ice demon or whatever.
That one is very like Saturday morning cartoon. That's
really,
that's like literally like an episode of the real Ghostbusters.
Well, because that and the one immediately before that, which I'm also blanking on the name of,
Afterlife.
Sure.
Yeah.
Both of them were pitched in the trailers as being a lot scarier than I think they ended up being.
Yes. Well, the Afterlife is pitched as being very earnest,
which. Okay.
Yeah, which it is. It's like very like Amblin-y is kind of the vibe in that one.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, and then the new
kids going on an adventure.
Right. And then the new one, it definitely had scary stuff. Like it was like trying to like set a mood in the trailer. But yeah, the movie itself is just like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and the 2016 one. Not scary at all.
Not at all scary. I enjoyed that movie, but it's not scary.
No. And I think that it makes some fundamental errors in terms of like what makes Ghostbusters work. And I feel like everybody makes the same fundamental error. Like, have you been in a lot of screenwriting classes? Like, have you taken screenwriting classes?
No, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that like bad screenwriting teachers love to talk about is how bad of a screenplay Ghostbusters is, because they're like, no one has character arcs. That means it's bad. And it's like, no, guys. Even if you track like the hero's journey, right? The typical hero's journey, none of those characters have one, not a single one in the movie. But if you track the hero's journey on Ghostbusters,
sure,
the business,
yeah,
it has the entire hero's journey. But it's as a group. It's like as an ensemble. They have a hero's journey together, but they don't have individual arcs. And I think when Katie Dippold wrote Ghostbusters 2016, she tried to make everyone have character arcs. And that's why I think that movie feels overstuffed and like there's just too much going on.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And it's because like Ghostbusters is very simple.
Yeah, it's true. Because like, we even get to the big finale with like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Mm-hmm. And a more modern interpretation of that is going to be selling us and like dropping hints and notes about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man throughout the movie leading up to that moment. Mm-hmm. But no. And if anything, the movie's better for the fact that it doesn't do that, because all of a sudden it's like, Ray, what did you do? Ray, what did you do? I thought of something that could never possibly hurt us. And we're like, we don't know what that could possibly be.
Right.
And then we get to see this giant, like, Godzilla-sized Marshmallow Man, and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yes.
And that's great, but it's like, I feel like if they'd been setting it up throughout the movie, it'd be like, yeah, okay, it's the Marshmallow Man that you've been setting up for an hour and a half. But it's better that it's not.
Yeah.
It's better that it completely catches us off guard.
There's only one reference to it at all in the whole movie, and it's when Dana's unpacking her groceries, and one of her groceries is a bag of Stay Puft Marshmallows.
Oh, is it?
That's it, though.
Like, and I missed that entirely.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. It's like, that's like a setup in terms of like, it does exist in the world. Like,
yeah.
That's it. It didn't come out of absolutely nowhere.
The characterizations are also very smart. Dana in particular, like we first meet Dana, she's getting out of a taxi, takes a couple of steps, watches the taxi drive away, and then crosses the street to her actual building. Mm-hmm. So there's this, like, which I don't think I've ever picked up prior to this watching of the movie. Because, well, one, I don't live in New York, so I was like, oh yeah, the taxi drops you off and you cross the street. But I was like, no. She's specifically making sure this person doesn't know where she lives.
Yeah.
And I never clocked that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good. And there's a lot of various, like, you can obviously tell that Bill Murray is playing a skis and all this other stuff, but like, I don't know, little stuff like that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. I think the key really, and they haven't done it correctly since, the key is you make a horror movie but you put a bunch of comedians in the center and you let them improv the hell out of it. And that is what Ghostbusters is.
Yeah.
And every other iteration has always been like, well, we have to write a funny script. No, you just hire funny people and you write a good script, like a really good script.
Well, that also comes of the trustworthiness of this collective of people
Exactly.
who knew that they could trust each other to be funny.
Exactly.
I think if you were going and casting people, you would need the script to be funny up top.
Well, it depends, you know. It's like every movie is cast.
Yeah.
You know, they just happen to be part of like a. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess they were part of a group, right? Did Harold Ramis work on anything with them together before this? Or I know he was in Stripes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume it's all like a Harvard Lampoon SNL kind of group.
Yeah, but it's a little like, it's not like they came from one defined place together.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
They, you know, they came up, they like found each other in the comedy scene and then, you know, we're like, oh, we should do this thing together.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So, you know, I think that it's possible to cast it with enough actors that have have all worked with each other maybe in the past in various like mixed matching of ways. And, you know, so that they have that base level of a relationship and let them sort of go wild on a really good script.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a bit of a callback non sequitur. Did you watch the Ghostbusters cartoon at all growing up?
Yeah, of course. I had all the toys.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I know that I did, but the only thing I remember is like, Slimer's funny.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think I'm a couple years younger than you, and I think I was just young enough that it just didn't stick.
Yeah, the thing with that I always remember is that the voice of Venkman in the cartoon is also the voice of Garfield in the cartoon. And then Bill Murray ended up voicing Garfield in the Garfield movies.
That's funny.
And so just like the idea that like it was like Bill Murray to Venkman, Venkman to Garfield, Garfield back to basically Venkman. Yeah.
I also love the story of how Bill Murray ended up voicing Garfield.
Yeah, if that's true.
If it's true.
It could just be him, you know, spurring up an urban legend. He loves telling stories.
He does love telling stories.
I definitely watched a lot of real Ghostbusters, but I don't.
Eaton Cohen.
I don't remember any like particular moments or episodes or anything like that. I remember a vibe. The show that I watched all the time because I was in like middle school when it came out was Extreme Ghostbusters from the 90s. Did you watch that one? It had like
I don't think I processed that there were two different cartoons.
Oh yeah, so there was an Extreme Ghostbusters in the 90s, which was like a new generation. It was like a legacy sequel.
Then I guess that's the one I watched because I must not have watched the original one then because I was a child in the 90s, so I probably watched the one that was in the 90s.
Yeah. So the one in the 90s was like there was like a guy in a wheelchair and there was like a goth chick and then there was like
got it, the full crew from the Burger King kids.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
I think even the same hairstyle as the lead kid.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. But yeah, I remember watching that one a lot.
Okay.
I liked it. It kind of had a similar animation style to like the Men in Black 90s cartoon. So like, I don't know, Ghostbusters means a lot to me and I'm always frustrated every time I see a new Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah.
Because they're like, God, how do you not get what Ghostbusters was? Like, it just feels like this movie was a miracle accident.
Well, it also feels like what they're doing is they're aiming to the final product instead of aiming towards the process.
Right. Exactly.
And like, this is absolutely a movie where you have to aim towards the process.
I think so. Yeah. I think you're just going to get more out of it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, one of the things that I appreciated in Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was like we got Zool again, and like they had the dogs running around and being terrors, and that ended up being a part of the movie that like I feel like could very easily have annoyed me, but I ended up really liking because it was like, yeah, these things are genuinely terrifying, but in the first movie they're taking out Sigourney Weaver gets taken out in a horrifying horror moment, but then blanking on his name. Rick Moranis.
Louis Tully,
Rick Moranis gets like, oh no, it's getting me in front of the restaurant. And then they all go back to eating.
Yeah, that's true. It's the scary moments are like played genuinely for scares.
Yeah.
And the comedy moments are sort of like, wow, it's crazy we're in this situation. Like it just feels like they're not like the situations. It doesn't feel like a comedic premise that they're in. It just feels like comedians in a horror premise reacting genuinely to it, you know?
Very much so.
Yeah.
So it's fun. So I feel like we don't necessarily need to do like a full scale walkthrough of this particular movie. Most people have seen it. If not, you've made the conscious choice not to watch it at this point.
Yeah, and you're probably not listening to this.
Well, every once in a while, and I find it interesting. But legitimately, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen Ghostbusters, tell me.
Yeah.
I want to know about that. I always find that fascinating.
That is fascinating.
But, I mean, I've listened to franchisography. I've listened to a lot of franchisography episodes of movies I haven't seen.
I guess that's true. We do have a lot more context, though, in terms of like just Hollywood like stuff, like stories, production stories.
Because I don't think I've seen Superman 3 or 4.
Sure.
And probably won't now. But the important thing is, I watched all the others. It's fine. No, I haven't watched Batman v Superman.
Oh, well, okay. That's not going to be one for some people. That's fine.
So it works for some people. It doesn't for others. That's fine. Anyway, basically, premise of this movie. You know what? More importantly than let's go through the plot of the movie. Let's talk about the different characters.
Okay.
The Bill Murray character of something Venkman, Dr. Venkman. Mm-hmm. How would you describe that character?
Peter Venkman is a sort of an academic con artist.
Yeah.
He has found a way in the academic sector to basically con his way into success by doing experiments in stuff that he doesn't actually believe have any basis in reality. But by doing them as studies, it allows him to just sort of coast through life.
He has 2 PhDs, one in psychology and one in parapsychology.
Yes.
But if anything, they never talk about how they met, but that's got to be how they met, of how he met Stantz, Dr. Stantz, the Dan Aykroyd character.
Ray Stantz.
Ray Stantz. Yes. Of Ray really does believe all of this stuff. And they're kind of following in the same fields of Venkman doesn't believe this, but Stantz does. But like they're in the same field, so they became friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like they probably met while they were both studying for that parapsychology PhD.
Yeah,
and they were probably the only ones.
Yes,
that's just what it seems like to me.
It would be really funny because at my college you could certainly design your own major, and it'd be really funny if Ray Stantz designed that major, and then Venkman was like, "That sounds good. I'll do that too."
Yeah, that's funny.
And so then we have Spengler, the Harold Ramis character.
Egon Spengler, who is a nerd, but not in like a typical 80s way. Like he is...
No, the typical 80s way is the Louis Tully, Rick Moranis character.
To a certain extent. I still think he's got a lot of other stuff going on. It's not like Revenge of the Nerds.
No. He does have one of my favorite lines in the movie.
Yeah.
Which is, I turned this whole party into a tax write-off. That's why I invited clients instead of friends. It's a great line. I love it.
It's really good. Yeah, he's very earnest. He's very excitable. And he is very, I guess, Ray Stantz is who I'm talking about. And then Egon he's very tall, and he's very like into the sort of like specific like way things work.
Yeah.
Like he collects molds and fungus.
It was it was something molds and fungus.
Yeah.
Spores, mold, and fungus.
Yeah. He just collects them as like specimens.
Yeah.
He's just constantly like in the lab, like studying stuff. But he seems like a very
Venkman just got slimed. Hey, cool. Save me a sample.
Yeah. He seems very practically minded.
Yeah.
That is kind of his deal. But he seems to have like a genuine love for this stuff.
Yes.
It's just like he's very practical. Ray is sort of the optimistic, like hopeful, theoretical guy, and then Peter Venkman is the cynical sort of non-believer, who just is doing it because he's like, hey, if you say that there's money at the end of this rainbow, I'll follow you wherever you want.
Yeah, he's just kind of like a scamming skis at the beginning of the movie, but because he's the one with like the natural charisma who can talk himself into any situation, he kind of falls into the position of the natural Excuse me, the natural leader, I say as I burp.
Yeah. yeah. The natural leader that like, in terms of like, he has something that they don't, which is charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is important to
true.
run a business and, shake hands with people and stuff.
It's incredibly important.
Yeah. Ray and Egon, like you wouldn't be able to stop them from saying something weird.
Yes.
Because that's just who they are.
When a weird situation comes up, that basically Ray and Egon just kind of turn to Bill Murray and go, "You're going to take care of this, right?"
Yeah, right. And then we have Winston, who shows up way later in the movie.
Half an hour? Not half
No,
an hour.
an
And
hour.
halfway through the movie?
At least halfway through, maybe a little bit longer.
Basically, the Ghostbusters have become successful, and apparently they put out a job listing because they need one more Ghostbuster.
Right.
And since Eddie Murphy wasn't available anymore...
Uh-huh.
Well,
I mean, he chose wisely. He did Beverly Hills Cop instead. And
he's fine.
he turned into a movie star.
Yeah.
Overnight. But yeah, this Winston Zedmore, played by Ernie Hudson in the movie, and he is just a blue-collar New York guy.
He's there to do a job, and if it turns out it's crazy stuff, fine, as long as he gets paid. As long as the check
he
clears.
gets a paycheck at the end of the month. Yeah. Right. So he's really great, but he's the one that I would want to, I think, judge a little.
Yes,
in
absolutely.
Our
he's also
remake.
one of the people that I ended up gender swapping.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So yeah, and then we have Dana Barrett. Dana is just a woman who is being haunted.
What instrument does she play?
Cello.
She does play cello.
Yes.
Okay, because I see her walking around with the case, and I'm like, that seems smaller than. I guess I'm picturing like a bass cello.
A bass. Yeah, you're thinking of
Yeah.
a big old stand-up bass.
Yeah, like the big honkers, but
Yeah.
no, just regular size cello. Okay.
Yeah. Cello, I think if you had it on the ground, would come up to about your sternum.
Yeah, I guess I'm picking like the LEJ cello from the French band. It's a much smaller cello. Yes. Okay. I'm following.
Yeah.
That might be just for me.
So Dana, she's a musician in the first movie and an art restorer in the second.
Oh, is she?
Yes.
My God.
She works at the museum and restores art like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman.
It's been a really, really long time since I've seen the second one. I don't think I realized they changed her job.
Yeah. Totally different career.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, I don't even.
It's
how
just-
are those two things have anything to do with each other?
She has smart lady job. It's fine.
Yeah. Smart lady, artistic job.
Yeah, and then we also have Janine Melnitz.
Yes, Janine Melnitz. So Dana, she gets possessed. She's a strong, independent woman who don't need no man.
Correct.
That's like her whole vibe. And she's like, this stupid Ghostbusters thing. Oh shit, I'm haunted as hell.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I guess I will call them.
I guess they are in fact who I'm gonna call.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then yes, you have Janine, who is sort of their operator, I would say. Like she's like a secretary, but like she takes the phone calls.
Yeah.
And tells them where to go when they need to go. And she has that.
She is arguably the voice of reason in the office, who is inexplicably in love with Egon.
Yes. Played by Annie Potts.
She's so good.
And she's so good in this. She's a big old character. She gets that. She has like that sort of like whiny, like Jewish lady from Queens kind of.
Just the kind of the New York accent, just being over here answering the phones.
Yeah. A real like Harley Quinn
Kind of
thing. Yeah. And it's great. I had such a crush on Janine when I was a kid.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
She's the best. And then, yes, as you alluded to, we have Louis Tully, who is Dana's neighbor, who has like a big old crush on her and is constantly trying to impress her. He is sort of a nerdy extrovert.
Yeah.
Which you don't see a lot in
Yeah.
things. Yeah. And he's just, he's an accountant and he loves people and he just, likes schmoozing and having a good time and likes to be impressive. He's like one of those guys who's like, yeah, let me show you the barbecue I just bought. And you're like, I don't want to see your barbecue. A little
bit of a
man.
Napoleon complex.
Yeah, just a little bit. But yeah, just loves like showing off his stuff that he's gotten from his success. And then we have Walter Peck, who is arguably the villain of the movie. But
I recast him, but I legitimately forgot about him existing until just now. Yes, because he's in 4 scenes.
That's true, but they're very important scenes.
They're very important scenes, and he's a very memorable character.
Yes, indeed. He is the villain of the film, originally played by William Atherton, and he is basically a guy who is like, this seems like a con.
Yeah,
I'm gonna prove this is how I'm gonna make my name. A name for myself in the sort of like he works in like the
he works for the EPA.
Yeah, the EPA, like a city sector. He's like, I'm gonna make sure that everything's up to code and all
Yeah.
of that, and I'm going to put you guys out of business because I don't think any of this is real.
You were rude to me once, so I'm going to make it my entire job to shut you down.
Yes, indeed. You know, it's like a real, when you look at the 80s comedies and there's like that whole like slobs versus snobs.
Yeah.
This isn't quite that because they're all on a professional level, but that's what this is, essentially.
He's the rich boy fraternity coming here to take down the Animal House fraternity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, my biggest issue with this character was the fact that he works for the EPA, which I don't think has anything to do with what they were talking about. But that doesn't matter. We'll get into that later. But that's kind of the characters as it exists. And then the world is, these guys believe in the supernatural as the supernatural starts bubbling up and happening. Like ghosts and things, with the exception of Slimer.
Yes.
With the exception of Slimer, all of these ghosts are kind of just starting to come to New York. There's sightings and hauntings and all these different things going on. But their first paying client is the Something Hotel.
Yes.
And they're like, this thing has always been here. It's always existed here, but it's becoming more of a problem now.
Right.
So apparently Slimer has been there for some time, and I think is maybe stronger or more viable or hungrier with the rising of the supernatural energy in the area.
Right.
But like, he's the one where I don't think he has emerged due to the reemergence of Gozer. But everything else is like, Gozer's coming back. Gozer's getting stronger, so ghosts are out on the loose.
Right. Slimer is interesting because the thing that I love about Ghostbusters lore is just like, it sort of begs the question of like, you know, what is the deal with Slimer? Like, why is he not a real person? You know, like, he's this little goblin ghost. And I'm wondering if like the longer you're a ghost, the more sort of like goblin-y you become.
The more you become defined by the singular trait that you carried over into the afterlife.
Right. And I think that's kind of neat. That's a neat idea.
I think so.
Yeah. Like the idea that he just started as like, I don't know, some fat guy or something, some dead fat guy ghost. And then it just over like 100 years.
Or arguably some dead skinny guy who never let himself cut loose because he always needed to be healthy. And then now that he's dead and it doesn't matter, he can eat whatever he wants and he's never willing to stop.
Yeah. It even says it's the Sedgwick Hotel, but it says a gluttonous ghost. That's how the Wikipedia describes him.
So one of the things I kept thinking about while watching this movie was Danny Phantom, which I don't know if you've ever watched any of it. So Danny Phantom, it's a Nickelodeon cartoon. Basic premise is Danny Fenton's parents are ghost hunters, and they make this portal to the ghost realm or whatever, and Danny is inside it when it gets turned on. He gets zapped, and so he basically becomes half ghost. So the parents kill their kid. And the important... But basically, the reason why I kept thinking about that is because it becomes increasingly unclear as the show progresses if these are in fact the spirits of the deceased or simply like other dimensional residents.
Yeah.
And it feels in this movie a little bit like it's also a little bit of a blend of some of these are clearly dead people.
Right.
And some of them probably aren't dead people necessarily, but are
like ghouls.
Ghouls, beings from the other side. Things that maybe emerged on the other side and have now crossed over. And I find that to be interesting because basically their solution is shove them in a hole. Just shove them in, keep shoving them in, never turn it off. Just keep shoving them in and it'll be fine.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, it really doesn't have a like when you get to the culmination of the movie and they beat Gozer. I mean, the understanding is, the movie literally ends with like a ghost, like the Slimer, like flying toward the camera.
Yes.
So like the ghosts are still out there.
Well, Slimer's always been out there.
Right.
Slimer is eternal.
Right. So it's just like, there's no resolution to like, well, what do you do now?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with all of them? I almost wonder if maybe in our remake, the sort of like solution to that is that like when the thing overloads and they all escape, containment, maybe they have to find a way like a doorway to the other side, and they have to somehow connect their containment unit to that. where it's not just like, yeah, they're trapping them and they're putting them in the containment unit. And then like once a month, they dump the containment unit into the other side, the other side portal.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to suggest is because like Danny Phantom has that. It isn't just an extraterrestrial like holding container. They have that. It's a thermos. It's very funny. But then they plug the thermos into a portal and the ghost gets sent back to the ghost realm.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense of it's like one of those I'm trying to think of a comparison where like if you're trying to put a pin through a bubble, you don't necessarily pop the bubble, the pin goes through the bubble and now the bubble's around the pin. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what they're doing where they're plugging it in and it just goes into the portal and the portal opens around the ghost and closes again. Mm-hmm. But then at the end when the EPA guy shows up or whatever agency we say he's from, just flips the switch and just opens the portal and says,
Better Business Bureau.
See, doesn't this seem radioactive to you? And they're like, are you going to close that? Are you going to close that? Are you going to close that? He's like, why would I close it? Look at this. This clearly radioactive jailbreak. Boom.
Yeah, they all come out. Yeah.
And then theoretically at the end, that might be why they can't really put Gozer away is because Gozer's not from the ghost portal. Gozer's a god.
Yeah. Yes. So I think that that's interesting. I think that, there needs to be I think that it is important that the Ghostbusters are wrong and learn a lesson. And that's why they like, we can't just contain them. We have to send them home.
Okay. I think that's fair.
And so I don't know that we necessarily have to have them figure that out ahead of time, though.
Good.
What I would like to circle back on maybe is like, what if before they start experimenting with stuff, there are no ghosts because they are all firmly on the other side and it is them through their experimentation that ends up weakening that wall and letting them through.
I like
that.
And
therein creating the necessity for the Ghostbusters.
They're the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Right, exactly. Because I was also thinking about like in terms of the plot of this and the sort of like the supernatural plot of it. I was wondering if like so you have Gozer, who is a god who just shows up. Gozer can only
one does.
Gozer can only show up after the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper mate. Therein, like opening the supernatural gate to the other side or whatever, letting Gozer through. And so and in order for that to happen, they're possessed by these spirits.
Yeah,
they turn into the gargoyle dogs.
Yes,
and et cetera, et cetera. So what I was wondering is like, okay, so if I just take a step back from all of that and don't take it for granted and try to find logic in all of it, I think it's interesting that like. The idea that these creatures on the other side, perhaps this god, when they see that there's a weakening of the wall into the land of the living, they're like, oh, this is our chance. So he sends some of these ghosts through to possess people in hopes that they will be able to like find a way to open the thing and let them through.
You know what this movie does need more of? Possessions.
Yes.
The only two people who get possessed are Dana and Louis Tully.
Yeah.
And they just get possessed by the demon dogs and that's it.
Yeah.
I think it's and
like, what if this was like about an invasion from the other side?
Yeah.
Like it's a literal ghost invasion. They're like, oh, we thought this was an infestation. It's an invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm into that. Because I also like the idea, because basically their proton backs are these giant like laser guns and anything they hit that's not a ghost gets destroyed.
Yeah.
And what would they have done if Dana and Louis Tully were still possessed? How would they have gotten the ghosts out of them? Because the laser guns ain't going to do it.
Right.
And I like the idea of the need for constant innovation and constant like experimentations and trying to figure things out. Once again, that's something that I really liked in Ghostbusters Afterlife when they figure out the like containment field that they trap Gozer in.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah. No, I love all of that stuff. I think that's a lot of fun.
And I like playing around, and part of what I like about Ghostbusters is that it's an hour and 46 minutes. It's a clean, tight movie. It goes, the movie happens, and it's over. And it doesn't feel the need to explain a lot of the why, and I think sometimes that's good. As someone who loves explaining the why, I completely understand that not wanting to do that.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I think that's interesting, of having to kind of like go on the fly of, let's say they're these professors and they're going to lose their job, and the only thing they can do to keep their job is to offer proof.
Right.
And in desperately trying to put something together to offer proof, they corrode the barrier separating our realm from the ghost realm.
Right. So they get their proof, but not realizing what they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we need an explanation of whether or not they're all dead people or they're creatures or beings that have emerged for whatever. I don't think
agree.
that matters.
I agree. Because it could be like a mixture.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think it's more fun if it's a mixture, and I think it's more fun if people have something to talk about.
Yeah.
But what should their experiment be?
Well, I think that it's interesting because, we have these proton packs that shoot out these lasers that can sort of, for lack of a better term, lasso the ghosts,
Yes.
which are non-corporeal typically. But there's something about this energy that allows them to, like, lasso them, like tie a rope around them, right?
Sure.
So that tells me that the energy that is being shot out of these are interacting with them differently than anything else, right? And so that makes me think that there's something in the invention of those that could have like something to do with like them wanting to like trying to communicate with the other side, or something like in the process of them creating this technology,
I have a very silly pitch.
Okay.
So there's that theory that like a human being, the moment before death and the moment after death has a difference in weight. There's like whatever the amount is that like...
It was a movie title with Will Smith. I forget what it was called. It was like 27 grams or
something like that. Yeah.
Something like
it's like a 27 gram difference. And like, that's the weight of the soul.
Right.
But like, I'd like it if in a Godzilla versus Kong versus way, we decide to believe the Hollow Earth theory. Where like their whole thing is going and tracking down and calculating and finding this thing. And Spangler invents some sort of scanner device that finds and calculates and takes a reading on whatever this thing is that's leaving the body. Mm-hmm. And so now that they have a reading on what that is, they plug that information into their 3D printer to try to recreate it. And in doing so, they create this tiny little gap, this tiny little break in this little hole.
That's interesting.
And then it just keeps getting clawed.
That's
bigger and wider and bigger and wider.
That is interesting. I thought you were going to go a different way, which was that I was picturing them like I was picturing
them catching the 27 ounces.
Yeah, I was picturing Venkman being like at some guy's like deathbed and be like, "Thank you for
your contributions
allowing
to
us,
science.
your contribution." He has somehow convinced this guy to let them do this. The family is surrounding, and they're just like, "Okay, he's leaving." It's like, "All right, boys, light it up." And they're like, they've set up like basically like a trap right above his body or whatever to capture his soul. As
we should still do that.
Yeah,
but it's all like the scanners and photonic different things scanning the body instead of like capturing the soul. It's just scanning everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But it does work. We absolutely should do that. That's amazing. That's so funny. So we do that. They capture it. They get a reading, and then they're like, "All right, let's recreate it. We're gonna kill someone? No. just the science of it, just the spectrometer, whatever, chemical whatevers."
Yeah.
And so they plug that into the 3D printer and they print out this tiny little shimmering little light. Mm-hmm. But that's the crack in the barrier.
Yeah.
And that's what starts getting broken apart. First by smaller spirits coming through and doing possessions and taking stuff.
Yeah.
But then the larger things are able to come through once the hole is bigger.
Right. The more powerful things. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like that. I think that's a really good way of making it their fault, because it's so coincidental. Like, I'm a little on Walter Peck's side where he's like, none of this shit was happening before you guys showed up. So like, that's why I think this is a scam. But if we literalize that in a way, and we actually do make them realize, oh shit, we did our fault. We have to stop this because we did this.
Yep.
Yeah. And then them realizing, oh, there's no way to stop this, but we can utilize that hole as the way to like send them back to the other side.
Well, even more importantly, like they might not realize it's their fault because they're fired. This was in their lab. Everything got shut down, including that machine. The little shimmering light gets shut down. they get kicked out. They have to go do their own thing. But we, the audience, know that back in that abandoned laboratory, the shimmer comes back on and things keep coming out.
Yeah.
And then later, end of Act 2, they realize, oh, all of the ghosts are originating from our old offices.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, no, this is our fault.
Yeah.
And that way we can give both Dana and Louis Tully something to do of they can be other professors at the university.
I guess. Yeah.
There's no reason for them to be a cello player and an accountant.
It would. Yeah. I think that's interesting because then like they're getting possessed because they're like close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like
they're victims of what the Ghostbusters did instead of what Gozer did.
Yeah. And I like the idea of Louis Tully not having an unrequited crush on Dana, but instead it's actually Venkman. Venkman has like slept with every woman on campus except Dana because she will not give him the time of day because she can see right through him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so like that's the unrequited.
Yes.
Like, we always had a thing. And she's like, we never had a thing.
Yeah.
This is not a thing.
You're getting me confused with every other female professor on this campus.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But none of the students.
None of the students. You're right. You got me there.
Okay. Ooh, what a hero of our time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that, but I like that she likes Louis because Louis is just genuine.
Yeah,
he's just like
he's a little dweeb, but he's an honest dweeb.
Yeah, he's just the guy, exactly the guy that he purports to be.
Yes.
Like he's not, hiding anything or whatever. And anyway, I've always liked in Ghostbusters 2 Louis and Janine ending up together. I would rather start that here than have her unrequited thing with Egon. Yeah.
Which at the end of the movie doesn't feel unrequited, because I also remember Louis and Janine getting together in Ghostbusters 2 and I'm like, what happened?
Right. That's true. That is true.
Because he joins the Ghostbusters in Ghostbusters 2, right? Mm-hmm. Louis Tully?
Sort of, yeah. Basically. In a like the kids found their dad's like you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think he was asked to do that.
No. But yeah, okay. So we kind of have our inciting incident. The library is so iconic from the original. And obviously this has to be set in New York because Ghostbusters is so inexorably tied to New York.
Exactly. Yeah. Sad. Yeah.
I don't think we necessarily need to have the scene in the library because that was done so well the first time.
How can you beat that? You can't.
So I feel like we need to have, but I also feel like because of that, we also shouldn't be at the university because that tips our hand that it's the university later on.
Yes.
So what's something else that's very New York that we can spookify up? And like there are a lot, the abandoned stock exchange floor, and like I feel like eventually we'll play with the stock exchange floor. But I feel like the New York Library is pretty iconic. There's a lot of like hot dog stands and all that sort of stuff. But like we need a part of New York that is inside and enclosed, so it is quiet and alone.
Mm-hmm. Man, I'm trying to think of because you kind of want it to be a relatively historic.
Yeah, and I guess leaning towards the Met.
Yeah, I mean that seems like the obvious choice because it is a 1-to-1 with that library, in terms of they're both sort of archival areas used for education.
I mean, you realize what we actually have to do, right?
No,
we have to go to Broadway, and there has to be a legitimate Phantom on the opera.
That's okay, all right. That's good. I think that's good. I think Broadway makes the most sense.
You also get to do the chandelier thing and have that come crashing down.
Yeah, I think we just need to stay away from Times Square because I think 2016 used Times Square so much that it's okay, they did that. That was their thing.
You're never alone in Times Square.
Right.
But you are you can be alone in an empty theater. That's what the ghost light is for.
Right.
That's the whole thing about theaters is that the theater spaces are inherently superstitious, which is why they would be the first ones to believe that the Ghostbusters are real.
Right.
And it's someone left the ghost light off one. You can literally have them leaving and leaving the ghost light on, and then when the theater's alone, the light turns off.
Yeah. That's interesting. I like that. Yeah, I think a creepy scene in there, and you just start with them already there doing the experiment, and you don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Until Venkman is like talking to the old lady that like, runs the box office late at night, the one that closes everything down. And she's like, yeah, I've seen some crazy stuff, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
Venkman is off flirting with one of the actresses. And
sure.
He's messing around with all the different props.
Sure.
And then one of the props starts messing with him.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of fun stuff you could do with like, the costumes and the props and all of that. I think there's a lot of really creepy, haunted, spooky stuff you could do there, and that's your cold open. And maybe that's like they just want to get an image, and they do, but when they show it to like their dean or whoever it is that's in charge of their department's funding, it's just like, are you kidding? This is 2024. Like, you can fake this. Like, it's a photo.
I think I saw that show.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just like, no, this is not enough.
Right.
And so like,
ooh, are you going to go get, oh no, I'm now forgetting the name of the hip hop artist, the rapper. Are you going to take a picture? Because they did that show where like, it was like, oh,
Tupac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to go and do a show with Tupac next?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
This joke would have been so much better if I'd remembered his name. Names are hard.
Yeah. But it's, I think that's a really good way to start it. And then you have them being like, okay, we have to like do this thing. So like maybe like the best way would be to like literally like capture the spirit of somebody to like prove it. And then that's when they go to like the guy who's literally on his deathbed.
Right. Well, they do that, and they also have to have this moment of they capture the ghost, cool, and they're sitting there holding the ghost, and they just like look at each other and go, now what do we do?
Right. What do we do with this?
Yeah. And like part of me thinks of it as like, oh, it's these ghosts that have all this magic and energy or whatever, and it's like, oh, we can use them as an alternative energy source. Like, isn't that a little messed up? They're dead. And then they realize it is very messed up because like in using like this ghost as a power source, it started as just like being able to possess some of the props. But like when it finally breaks out, it's building size.
Yeah.
Is they amplifying their own power. They amplified the power of the ghost itself.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Something even more their fault.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think, I think the only thing with all of this is that I think you got to be careful of with all of these spooky scenes is like you have to let them be scary and not lean toward the goofy pun or the whatever, because it robs it of its power, and then suddenly we're just making yet another like of all of these other Ghostbusters.
No, you're right.
But
that's why I want it to be something like a theater, something that is dark.
Yeah,
because
dark and spooky.
And spooky, something where even if you are only getting half captured glimpses in the shadows, even if it turns out to be something silly like a pile of wigs come to life,
right?
In the shadows, a hulking pile of wigs moving and lurching after you, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's why best horror movies take place at night.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely like all that. I mean, you could even like do that opening. You could have like some like a found footage element to it.
Yeah.
Where they're like filming themselves doing this process at the theater.
It's 2024. They got to capture it for the blog so that they can get hyped because the university cares about them being popular.
Yeah. Did you see Twisters?
The new one? No.
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, so one of the things with that is like the male lead, he is like a YouTuber. He's
that makes sense.
They storm chase, and that's what they do, and they have like patrons and like
of course
the whole thing. So like you could add a little bit of that element into that, and that's maybe like where Venkman comes in. Is because he's like that. He's the face, you know?
Yeah. That can even be part of the reason why they get fired up. We feel like you care about like chasing down random viewers on the internet than actually teaching your students. I have students? Yes.
Yeah, right. Wait. I have a class right now?
Oh man, and then it turns out like we meet the professor's aide that's been filling in and teaching the class the entire time.
Yeah.
It's like that's the person who becomes the EPA person.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
It shouldn't be, but that would be funny.
Yeah. And then of course like Van would come, he's like, God, you just never teach this class. Yeah. And I've taught you a valuable lesson. You know how to teach a class now, don't you? You can teach any class. Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Allow me to sign off on your credit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's kind of our act one. And we know about the interactions with both Dana and Louis Tully. They get kicked out and they get a third mortgage on Ray's home. They get a...
Because he would already have a second mortgage.
Of course. Well, that's what happens in the movie.
Oh, it is a third mortgage.
It is a third mortgage.
Okay.
Relax, Ray. Lots of people have a third mortgage. You didn't even argue with the guy. You just took the 19% interest. Ray, according to my calculation, first year alone, interest is going to come to $95,000 or something like that. And it was like, oh, crap.
Oh, man.
Do we need to get them an abandoned firefighter station? I feel like that's pretty iconic.
Yeah, I feel like that has to be the thing, right? That's the I mean, coming down the pole. Like,
yeah.
That's the Ghostbusters.
That's the Ghostbusters. They need it. They need a hearse because that's the Ghostbusters.
Right. Yeah. There's some. Well, actually, that's not a hearse. It's actually an old ambulance.
I know, but it looks like a hearse.
Yes, because they used to be able to, like it was small, and that's where they put the gurney or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you need to have something like that. I don't like the hearse in the 2016 one.
Right.
I just think it's ugly looking, and they're like, yeah, that's the point. The other one was ugly. It was like, there's a fine line,
Look, it's ugly because you're looking at it from a modern perspective on an 80s movie. In an 80s movie, that's the coolest thing any of us have ever seen.
Yes, exactly.
So you have to do the modern interpretation of what the coolest thing any of us have ever seen is.
Yeah.
But I don't know what kind of car that is now.
I don't know. But also, I don't know that we need all of that space in the back, Like, maybe we can think of something else to do there.
I mean, the stupid joke is we figured out how to turn it into an app. That's dumb.
Yeah.
It's the Ghostbusters. We like when they have toys. We like when Spangler has the weird wand thing with the running lights on either side.
Totally.
And there's just footage of all the other movies that same tool got used in because it's such a fun prop to hold.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, the props and everything need to be practical. I mean, you just got to figure out. I mean, I don't know cars well enough to be able to pick out what the other car would be.
Neither of us are car guys.
Yeah, no, we're just not.
But trust us that we will get a car guy and they will let us know.
They will pick the perfect thing. And if you have suggestions, let us know.
Absolutely.
But in any event, I mean, it could even just be like a sort of like, an ambulance from like the 80s, You know
what? What I think we can do is if we have them capture this first ghost and they don't know what to do and they turn that ghost into a power battery, I think as they go around and start doing more things and capturing more ghosts, they keep plugging more things into that battery and they overload the battery. And that's our midway point. When they overload the battery, it explodes and the ghost comes out much bigger.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it's because of that's what gives probable cause for them to get shut down by Better Business Bureau or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. What was it? The environmental what?
It was the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yeah. So are they not in charge of like toxic spills and stuff like that? Because that would make sense that he would be there.
Okay. Because
it's radioactive. He thinks it's radioactive.
Right.
And I guess it is to a certain extent.
It is. But I don't know that it is. And like, if he's an EPA guy and he's in charge of radioactivity, he'd be there with Geiger counters, and he never is.
That's true.
He just looks like asshole business guy who says that you're not allowed to snowboard on this side of the mountain because this side of the mountain's for skiing.
It's true. Yeah, that is true.
So like, if we're going to have if we want asshole business guy, we can have. We can make this guy the true villain of our time and make him a VC venture capital guy who thinks that they have something there and he wants to like commodify it, and they keep saying no, and he keeps using his connections, his higher and higher up connections so it can get shut down and he can take it.
Okay.
Of like, if we want to make him a bad guy, let's make him a bad guy. Sure. Theoretically, the Environmental Protection Agency is supposed to be protecting our environment.
Yeah, sure.
But if it's some venture capital guy who's just trying to like take their ideas and make his own money off of it, that's a bad guy.
Yeah, that's a bad guy. That's not bad. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, because the one thing that you wouldn't want to do is like loop him into like the supernatural plot where he's like, oh, actually, I do want the god released and blah, blah, blah.
No, they invented a super battery and he wants to put that kind of battery in everyone's phones.
Yeah. He wants to make, like this sort of
let's make the dead work for the living.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's sort of like how tech was like a brand new thing, and he's like, yeah, this could be the brand new thing.
Yeah.
100%.
And especially when he finds out that it's just like, and then when it starts being proven that what they have is real, and he's like, oh, it runs on ghosts. great. We'll capture all the ghosts. We'll figure out how to use it, because why should the dead get to retire?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. They should just keep working for the
Just
living.
keep working for us. Keep working and keeping our machines running.
Yeah, that's true.
And the dead don't have to take vacations. They don't have to take time off.
Yeah.
Just really lean into it.
Yeah. And so they start the Ghostbusters. My whole thing with Winston, right? Wanting to like zhuzh him and bring him in earlier. My pitch for Winston is like, so Winston's like a blue collar guy, right?
Yeah.
And this is also going to go back to what my pitch for Venkman is also going to be. With Winston, I want him to also work on campus, but I want him to be like the what do you call the guy that's like in charge of the campus, like the land of the campus. What
facilities manager.
Yeah, facilities manager, basically, right? He is like, he wears a jumpsuit. He knows about, I see where you're going with this. That's so good.
He
knows about being an exterminator, and he knows about, he knows like very practical things, right?
Yeah.
And my pitch for Venkman is that Venkman, you will never see not in a suit. Like, he is always dressed to the nines.
He's Barney from How I Met Your Mother.
A little bit, yes, totally. And that is always how he's dressed and whatever. And so even when they start the Ghostbusters and they're like, oh yeah, like we're all wearing these jumpsuits, and he's just like, I'm not wearing that.
Yeah.
And so that when you get to the third act and he finally puts on the jumpsuit, it's like, oh my God, there they are. It's all 4 Ghostbusters.
Yes. Good. I love that.
Yeah. And so he's that guy. He's the guy who knows cars. He's the guy who knows all of that stuff. The stuff that a bunch of academics wouldn't necessarily know a lot about.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think absolutely. I agree with everything you're suggesting.
Okay, great.
I think that's great.
Yeah. So then he can be there from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, it's also like if they set up all of these different things in their lab and they broke all the campus rules, he can get fired the exact same time they do, because he shouldn't have been allowing this in the first place.
Right.
And he allowed it because they're friends.
Right. He let them in.
Yeah.
Yeah. He let them in after hours to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He figured out how to like let them know where to plug things in so they could get a little bit of extra juice, and he kind of looked the other way because he's like, these guys are fine.
Yeah.
They're not causing any problems.
Yeah. I like
Great.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a few other like character tweaks that I want to do, but I think that comes into like who I cast.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So let's do a couple more of our plots. Like, theoretically, if we're breaking the veil between this world and the next, do we want our final boss to be, because it's an invasion, you said, which I agree with. Do we want our final big bad to be a god or just the scariest ghost?
I think just the scariest ghost. I mean, like, basically, whatever the Ghostbusters equivalent of like the devil would be,
Sure.
Yeah. Whoever is sort of like in charge, whether it's because they were put there or because they earned their place through like, whatever the hierarchy is over there. We can't really understand it.
It's Mephistopheles in some way.
Yeah.
It's
I think that's I don't think a god really, that was the one thing about Ghostbusters is it always bothered me, because I was like, what do gods have to do with the supernatural and like ghosts?
Well, all of a sudden it's other worlds and everything, and it's like, okay, which I appreciate, because like it's ghosts, like, because that's what made the cartoon really interesting, is they didn't just deal with ghosts. They did like the Mummy cartoon or everything else, where it's like, okay, that was one of the bad guys we dealt with. This week it's about the Loch Ness monster. This week it's zombies. This week it's that.
Right.
And like even the monologue, whatever series of questions that Winston gets asked at the beginning when he's being interviewed, they do kind of have a tone, all of this. Certainly the Ray character believes in all of that. But this movie in particular, this is the movie about ghosts. If you want to do the movie about Bigfoot, you can have Bigfoot Busters as the sequel.
Sure.
Yeti Busters.
Cryptid Busters.
Cryptid Busters. Because that is kind of what the show is. They are Cryptid Busters. But yeah, okay. So Mephistopheles, whomever, is coming over, and like, I feel like if we have all of our main characters be funny, that character cannot be funny.
Yes. Oh, I completely agree.
Like, you can have the I'm back, but that's okay.
Yeah, no.
You can't tone match.
They need to be, to me, I almost feel like they need to be like a absolute, like, unknowable thing. Like, I don't even know that they should be humanoid.
Yes.
Like they are.
Well, like the first episode of What If, when it's just, we never see the full body, but it's just all the giant tentacles start coming through the portal.
Sure. Yeah.
Not even necessarily that.
Yeah, not necessarily tentacles. I was actually thinking like some kind of like all you can see of it is like this shadow thing, you know? And it's just
which is what they do in Bleach. But the important thing is,
oh, I don't know what Bleach is.
In Bleach, there's so in Bleach, they're taking out too many ghosts, and the veil between the human world and the hollow world, which are the ghosts that turn evil, is starting to crack. And then that cracks open, and we see some of the worst ghosts come through. But in the back, behind them, you just see two eyes, and oh no matter what we're dealing with, and we're dealing with some very bad things. That whatever that thing with the eyes back there is, that's the worst thing we could possibly deal with.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And then like years later, it's like, oh, it's just a big guy that poops out more ghosts. Dope.
But yeah, definitely some kind of like Lovecraftian, like unknowable entity.
Yeah, a biblical angel, but a devil.
Right. Sure. Like a demonic thing that you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
And I would even like it if, when they catch a glimpse of it, every single one of them describes seeing something different, because every single one of them saw their worst nightmare.
Yeah. That's good.
And it's like, okay, we have to shut down this gate now.
That also like kind of ties in the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, like
kind of
concept. You know? Yeah. Where if they're all seeing something different.
Yeah. It is perceptible. But it is, to everyone, it is the worst it could possibly be.
Yeah. And
that is why they have to shut it down, because it's just stepping through and it's over. No one will ever not live in fear ever again.
Yeah. That's good. It's just like, oh my God, it looks like this. Oh my God, it looks like this. Oh my God, it looks like this. Oh my God, it looks like my grandmother. I really hated my grandmother.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Correct. That is the joke. Well done. You found it.
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, okay. So that's most of the way through Act 3. We've kind of like skated around of like, ghosts are coming out, they're possessing people. Mm-hmm. If we aren't just having the guns, which we do need to have when it's just a ghost, we also need a way for them to get ghosts out of people. How are we going to do that? That's
a good question. I don't know, because the thing that you want to avoid, you definitely don't want it to be any kind of physical thing, because they did that with like the boxing gloves or whatever in the 2016 one, and I was like, this doesn't feel like Ghostbusters.
In Danny Phantom, I want to say it's like a tennis racket, but like the strings are all like ghost particles.
Oh,
so they swing it past someone, and it passes through a human being, a real life living person, but it doesn't touch them, but it catches ghosts.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think it would have to tie back into the thing they use at the beginning with the old man on his deathbed that catches that. It must be like something similar, but like a little more.
I think that's good, because I think it could very easily just be a flash camera.
Yeah.
And the flash bulb, and when it takes the picture, what it catches is the ghost.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the ghost is in the picture and the person's not.
Yeah. That's how they like unpossess them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then the person is then like, what did you do? Did you take my picture? I don't want that posted anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, give me that. I'm going to tear it up. No. We need this to not tear up. And look, you're not even in it.
Yeah.
Oh God. That doesn't look anything like me. Fine. You can keep it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's. I think that's fun. I like the idea of it being a picture, and I like the idea of it because you could also do a thing where it's like their eyes have to be open or something for it to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, she blinked again. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's kind of fun.
Say unholy cheese.
Yeah, right. That's good. No, I like that. The third act has to happen in like I think the college courtyard.
Yes.
That way it's like this cool thing because if the courtyard's in the center of the campus,
Yeah.
you have all the ghosts kind of like coming in from all sides.
Yeah.
And surrounding them, you know?
Yeah, I don't know New York college campuses at all, but I presume they have that.
I assume I think there was one. You know what? The one in the Spider-Man game does.
Yeah,
so,
good enough.
That's pretty accurate.
It doesn't need to be a real New York college campus. We just say that it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
But yeah, I think they go to Columbia University. I don't know if Columbia University has a courtyard, but let's say that
no one knows. It's impossible to find out.
But yeah, like the idea that they all get surrounded by like thousands of ghosts on all sides of them as like, you know, the big unknowable thing shows up, but they're all just standing there, you know, or like floating there or surrounding them, you know?
So obviously like it's all kind of spurring from like the crack that they created, and that's the portal. But if they're being surrounded by ghosts and the ghosts themselves start swirling, that itself can become a portal, and then they're standing over a gateway.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's like literally at their feet, and then they get to look down and they wish they hadn't.
Well, there we go. We said that the ghosts are a power battery.
Yeah.
What if like when there's that this thing just needs enough ghosts in a area to unlock the gate or whatever. Yeah.
And they're capturing them as fast as they can, but they don't have enough storage containers. So that's when the crazy thing of like, we can't cross a stream. It's no, we can't cross a stream and we can't contain these all. We have to open the gate, but we have to open the gate, not on in, but on out or like something like that.
We have to reverse the polarity.
So you're telling me we're about to just flush all the ghosts down the toilet?
Yeah.
Yup.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
and
that's good.
And so they have to figure out a way to intentionally open it up. And that's how they get the ghosts down, because it's like, well, if this can get a big guy out, I bet I can get a ton of little guys in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there they go.
There you go. And I think I think the reason that it culminates when it does is because it, you know, the crack or whatever allows, you know, for lack of a better term, the gatekeeper and the keymaster through to possess Lewis and Dana, and them being possessed, they become sort of like, they're like a lighthouse, like beacons that attract all the ghosts to the campus.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to the third act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And good. I like all of that.
Okay.
And I like that, like, what can activate them is they've been keeping the ghosts, doing everything they can, figured out a way to just start sending them back to the other side through this portal, and then the portal just gets open, and then...
Yeah.
Because I think we can have the two big explosion moments are the battery that they've been plugging into gets overwhelmed and lets out a big ghost, and then that's a new problem. That's kind of that's the midway through Act 2, but then our bridge into Act 3 is... What's his face?
Walter Peck.
Walter Peck, thank you. Walter Peck shows up, and names are hard. Walter Peck shows up and said, we all saw that thing that happened. If that thing can happen, I now have the right to get everything shut down here. Hits the switch. It doesn't get shut down. Boom.
Releases all the ghosts.
Now we have our Act 3 problem.
Right. And now the two beacons are attracting all of them.
Yes.
They're like, wait, where are they going? And then they follow them. They're like, they're going to the campus.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
Good.
We have to get out of this jail cell.
Yeah. Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Dope.
Okay, great.
That's a movie.
I think that's the movie.
So let's talk about casting.
All right. Where are we starting?
We got to start with Venkman.
Okay. Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I can go.
Okay.
Age is interesting for a lot of these characters.
So I actually did write all of the ages of the original actors.
Yeah.
But like it doesn't quite translate to modern day, because 34, which is how old Bill Murray was in the original Ghostbusters, is very different in 1984 than it is now.
It is.
Yeah.
I also, if anything, it's younger now.
Oh, really?
I think so.
34 is younger.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
A current 34 is younger than a 34
a 34 in the 80s is really like in your 40s.
Yes. That said, I did go younger than 34.
Interesting.
Because I wanted kind of like, the charismatic guy who just kind of showed up and we'll follow you, whatever's going on, man.
Okay.
And also I was trying to go with someone who kind of had the vibe of natural charisma and also overt vibes, but when he cares about something, he like all the way cares about it.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up settling on an actor that I really like from Ghosts, which
Okay.
wasn't why I pulled him, but I just thought it was funny.
Okay.
That Ghost is kind of his really big thing that he's done. This actor is named Roman Zaragoza.
Is he the lead? Like the co-lead?
He's Sass. He's the Native American character.
Oh, so he's one of the
ghosts. And he has a very dry sense of humor.
Interesting.
But also in the TV show Ghosts, he is a hopeless romantic.
Okay.
And so I was like, yeah, this is kind of a vibe of a less skeevy Bill Murray character.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I was going for. That might not necessarily be the version that we ended up with in what we created.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the nature of the character. Because I'm not trying to find the modern day Bill Murray. I don't need the Bill Murray everything. I just need Venkman.
Yeah.
And I thought this would be a decent not that any of Bill Murray's characters aren't Bill Murray.
Yeah.
With the possible exception of his character in Caddyshack.
Right. That's true. I'm completely unfamiliar with this person. I've never seen him before in my life.
I highly recommend Ghosts. I think you, Scott Carelli, would really enjoy it.
So for my Venkman, I was really thinking about like the suit guy, and I was thinking like a sort of like, the kind of guy that would find himself in this and has this sort of like Bill Murray's vibe as Venkman is a very specific vibe, which is like he is very charismatic and you understand why ladies like this guy. Yeah. But he's also like, as a friend, he clearly thinks he's better than his other friends. Yes. But he's like, but you're all right. I like having you around. Like he's got that kind of sense. And to me, the first person that came to my mind. He loves
being king of the nerds.
He does. First person that came to mind was John Mulaney.
Sure.
That to me is like, oh, that's a guy that I'm like, oh yeah, I would believe anything that you said.
Yeah, like, John Mulaney's good casting for this.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my pick would be John Mulaney, and plus the idea of John Mulaney in a Ghostbusters jumpsuit by the end of third act would feel so weird.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the other element of it.
I think that for that, like that alone makes it very, very good casting of just like, you are leaning into the story nature of it all. Like, well, this guy's known for suits. Yeah. Do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. I think John Mulaney is a very good choice.
Okay. All right, cool.
So tell me about who you had for Ray Stantz, the Dan Aykroyd character.
So for Ray Stantz, we need somebody who is very earnest and lovable and a little, maybe shaped a little more like a regular guy, you know? And so I was just thinking about like people that I love seeing and stuff, a comedian, comedy actor who like, I love seeing and stuff who's like very excitable. And when he's excited, you're kind of excited and you just love to kind of love this guy. So I went with Sam Richardson.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. I just was like, that guy just screams Ray Stantz to me.
Of course.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I thought that might be the case. So I also think it's important for someone who I don't necessarily like. I kind of was going for a very similar vibe, and you'll understand why in just a second. But like, I also wanted someone who sees the world in a different way, like kind of sees the world as a cartoon, and like when she goes in on an idea, she is all in, no matter, like, doesn't even think about the consequences, just goes and does what she thinks is the correct thing to do. Like on the face of it can seem very serious, but when you actually get to know her, you're like, wait, you believe what? And that's why I thought the correct casting for this would be Zoe Chow.
Oh, that's funny.
For those of you who haven't seen the After Party, they're the couple.
They're the couple in that. No, that's really funny, and I love Zoe Chow. It's funny. I almost cast her as Dana. So yeah, I'm for that.
Cool.
I like Zoe Chow.
All right, dope. I also thought that this character in particular is because like I don't necessarily oppose the Melissa McCarthy character like of it all. I just thought that Melissa McCarthy was too big.
I actually thought that movie was confusing from a character standpoint because I felt like for Melissa McCarthy and the other lead, Kristen Wiig, I don't think either of them were as strong of characters as the other two.
I agree.
Were like really strong characters.
Yeah.
And like they were just kind of like they were a little too samey. Like,
well, and Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy were doing their Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy thing.
It just wasn't enough.
No.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Spengler. For Spengler, I kind of did a 1-for-1. Because Harold Ramis is particularly iconic, I went for someone who does kind of look like Harold Ramis. This is actually the first role I cast. Oh. Because I actually had an actor in mind who I think is better than a lot of people give him credit for. I first saw him in Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, and I think he's an incredibly funny character actor that doesn't get used all that much. Mm-hmm. But then he spent 10 years on The Big Bang Theory just doing the one character over and over and over again. And now he doesn't really need to work anymore. And that's Simon Helberg.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
And I just think he's very funny. And he's the only person from The Big Bang Theory who I think is legitimately a nerd.
That's true. That's interesting. I almost feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's interesting, like thinking of like Egon as short.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
So like
that's
it's just,
true.
Yeah, that's the only thing with him. You know what's funny is like, so I actually went in a slightly different direction.
Great.
Because I was like, okay, so we had Egon, and then we kind of have girl Egon, but like a more excitable girl Egon in the 2016 one. But it's like very much like she could have been Egon's daughter, you know, and you'd be like, yeah, okay, I buy that, you know. And so I was like, okay, well, what's like a funny energy for a guy like this to have? And I was like, what if he was just like kind of a grump? And I just
think is kind of what Egon is.
Yeah. And so like my mind went to, and if we have another version of this too, we could go with that as well.
Sure.
But like, so I just thought of like two very famous comedic grumps that have been in things.
Lewis Black.
So no. So I went with two because like I didn't know which one, and I was like, maybe we can think of a better third one.
Okay.
Brett Goldstein.
Oh yes,
Ted
of course.
Lasso.
Yeah, Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Brett
I don't have my laptop in front of me.
And Stephanie Beatrice.
Oh yeah,
from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I also looked at Stephanie Beatrice a lot.
Yeah.
I would lean more towards Brett Goldstein of the two of them.
Yeah.
Just because if we gender swap Ray Stantz, I don't also want to gender swap Spengler.
Yeah.
That's especially because I also gender swap Winston. So like if it's Venkman and then three women,
right.
It's a different vibe.
That's a different vibe. Okay, Brett Goldstein.
What'd you say?
Brett Goldstein.
I thought you said Bradley Goldstein.
No, Brett Goldstein.
Bretty Goldstein. Yeah, Brett Goldstein. Brett Goldstein's interesting.
Because they just
Can you just imagine putting because every time his character on Ted Lasso put on glasses, we're just like, but really though?
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking about like John Mulaney being, so what you working on, Egon? And him just being like,
science.
Yeah. You wouldn't understand. Just like,
I'm trying to fix the universe. Cool. All right, well, hey, you want to grab lunch?
Yeah.
Yes. I do want to grab lunch.
Yeah. Just being like very like kind of grumpy and literal, you know? Like I just think that's funny.
And not just because Brett Goldstein and Simon Helberg look so similar. They could be brothers, the nerdy brother and the sporty brother.
That's true. But yeah, Brett Goldstein, despite the fact that his character on Ted Lasso is nothing like the actual man.
No.
He is like literally doing like an SNL level like character.
And it's so funny.
Funny.
That's why it'd be so important to see him doing other things.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think that
apparently he did a comedy, some live comedy show with Mae Martin, and I didn't get to see it, and I really wanted to. But anyway.
All right.
That brings us to Dana Barrett.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was thinking of actresses who, like Sigourney Weaver, have done dramatic action stuff and also has done some comedies as well, like works in both worlds, so that she can play the sort of like straight and narrow of Dana a little bit. And somebody who, you know, especially now in this new version where she's sort of like either another academic or maybe like the dean of the school or something like that.
That would be so funny if she's the one that fires them. Yeah. There's no reason why that can't happen. Let's make her the dean of the school.
Right.
That makes so much more sense.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, Venkman's still flirting with her as she's firing him.
Yeah.
Well, now that we're not colleagues anymore, there's absolutely no reason why we can't.
I do not have time to list all of the reasons why we would not be going on a date.
Yeah.
But top of the list is that you're unemployed.
Yes, that's the joke. You did it. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so I went with Rose Byrne.
Okay.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah. I
Great.
just think she has that vibe.
Yeah. That is not the vibe I went for. I went for incredulous until otherwise noted.
Okay.
But she is an SNL actress. She's actually one of only 2 SNL people I have.
Oh.
And she's also the female lead from Schmigadoon. I went with Cecily Strong.
Oh, yeah. I like Cecily.
I'm more potentially drawn to Rose Byrne because I think that that's correct. But what was really funny about Cecily Strong is that she's in Lady Ghostbusters.
Oh.
But not as like one of the main ones.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what she did, and I was like, that doesn't matter.
I actually kept running into people that I would think of because like one of the Egons that I thought of was what is his name from Silicon Valley in The Office?
Oh,
the tall.
Martin Short?
No, Martin Short.
It's Martin something. Martin Strong?
No. Oh yeah. Oh, you're right. But that's not who I was thinking. But he would actually. Oh. Oh, he would be a really good Egon.
He would be a really good
He's tall
Egon.
and he has done... Let's swap him. Let's put him
Make
in.
it Martin Strong
Yeah,
instead?
let's make it Martin Strong.
Well,
that's really...
We found the third one.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really, really good.
It is. It's interesting. I didn't think about Silicon Valley at all.
Yeah, but that is... It's almost a 1-to-1. No, I was thinking of Zach Woods, but Zach Woods is in the opening scene of the Ghostbusters. And so I was like, no, not Zach Woods.
I thought about Zach Woods too, but I thought he was too dry. Yeah.
But Martin Starr is a perfect
Martin
Egon.
Starr.
Oh my God. Okay. Glad we came to it together.
And then Rose Byrne for Dana.
Okay, great.
Okay. So then I have
Winston?
Winston should be next.
Okay.
Especially because like I put Winston way further down, but that's because that's how it's listed on IMDb. Winston should be next.
Okay.
So for a joke for me on the paper, I wrote down Eddie Murphy and then crossed it out. Because
hilarious.
No reason not to. Ha ha ha. Anyway, I gender swapped this character. I wanted someone who seemed together on the surface, but when you get to know her, no. This is my second SNL actress.
Okay.
She is on SNL. She was in Wonka, but she's much more famous right now because she is kind of like the creator and star of How to Die Alone, and her name is Natasha Rothwell.
Oh, yes. I saw the trailer for this. I love this idea. I think this is great.
Cool.
Because I couldn't think of a good one because, like, I knew what type I wanted.
Yeah.
But I couldn't quite, like, nail down, like, I couldn't find an example of not white guys. But because my thought was like a Paul Walter Hauser type or like a Danny McBride type. Like you want that energy of like the guy that you would believe would be rocking
Paul Walter Hauser was someone who I also was like, Paul Walter Hauser kind of fits the vibe of Ghostbusters, but I think if you cast him, you end up with a Melissa McCarthy issue from the Lady Ghostbusters, Paul Feig.
Possibly.
But like, he's
done lots of dramatic roles.
He does. He's so good. I love Paul Walter Hauser, which is why he's in like half the episodes I've done this year, and not because I brought him in.
Yeah. So it's like that was the vibe I wanted, but I couldn't think of anyone because obviously, like, I don't want to cast a white person as Winston Zeddemore, but like, so that's perfect.
And so I think what I like about Natasha Rothwell is like you can very much see her being like, I've got to do my job, but like, I don't know, these guys seem fun. I want to hang out with these guys, and that's why she keeps letting them get away with this.
Totally, and she has like, for lack of a better term, bus driver vibes.
Yeah.
And that's the vibe that you want Winston Zeddemore to have.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially our Winston Zeddemore.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's perfect.
Cool.
Yeah,
then let's talk about Louis Tully.
Well, so I thought, okay, so Louis Tully, nerdy extrovert, loves hosting get-togethers. He has a day job as an accountant. Sam, does that remind you of anybody?
Is it me?
Yes.
I'd have fun doing that.
I just thought that was funny because I was like, oh, look, you're nothing like Louis Tully.
No,
but also when you
describe him exactly like that. That is really good. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I thought that was funny. But then I also thought of Joe Pera. Do you know Joe Pera?
No, tell me.
Okay, so you would love this show. So this show, it ran 3 seasons on Adult Swim. It's called Joe Pera Talks with You.
Okay.
And he's kind of a Mr. Rogers type. And his comedy it comes from this like very soft spoken, like very very just really nice guy and really genuine, earnest guy. And he talks about like rocks and just things that he thinks are neat.
Yeah.
And I can't describe to you what the comedy is, but the show is so funny, but it feels like just a hug. Like it is
that does sound lovely.
It is so nice.
And it's on Adult Swim?
Yes.
Wild.
It was weird.
So it's between Crank Yankers and whatever that thing with the meatball was?
Yeah, I think,
Squidbillies?
I think is a Comedy Central
Yeah,
show.
it is. Fine, it's between Squidbillies and the meatball show.
Yeah, right. Adult,
whatever.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Thank you.
Yes. But yeah, it's so nice. And his stand-up is so funny because like the whole bit with his stand-up is he is this persona, this merry Mr. Rogers, right?
Sure.
And his agent is a stereotypical agent who is just absolutely insane.
Of course.
And so he's like, so I was told by my agent that I have to read this letter. And so it's him and he's reading this absolutely unhinged letter. And it's one of the funniest things that I've ever seen. And he just keeps like, I'm sorry. I'm just showing you a picture of Joe Pera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I do think anyone named Joe is correct for the role. Let me tell you about who I had.
Look at this guy.
I mean, look at that guy. That's the guy. He is absolutely.
Who did you pick?
I went with, again, similar vibes but different.
Okay.
I went with someone who he's in Pitch Perfect, but not in the place you think.
Oh. He's
also in A Futile and Stupid Gesture, but you probably know him from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I went with Joe Latrulio.
I do love him.
Yeah.
You know, weirdly, he would also be very different vibe, but you could totally buy him in that sort of Zedmore role.
Yeah.
Because he is also, he's been that guy a lot and stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he also is the very nerdy, very extroverted.
Yes.
And like, that's kind of his whole persona.
Yeah.
And so I'm perfectly happy going with either Joe. I think they're both fine. It's just, which Joe do we want in the movie? Do we want calm Joe or do we want manic Joe?
Well, let's cast Janine and see who would have the more chemistry with which one.
Great. Well,
Okay.
then let me tell you about my Janine.
All right, great.
My Janine, I again know from the TV show Ghosts, where she kind of plays the hippy dippy character.
Okay.
She is also a ghost.
Okay.
She was also in something called #VanLife. She was in an episode of I Think You Should Leave. But really, again, her big breakout is Ghosts. Her name is Sheila Carrasco.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I can see, because the glasses and the... Yeah, I could definitely see what you're seeing.
She, as a person, is nothing like Janine. But I could see her being a modern interpretation of a Janine.
Sure. Absolutely. So I had a couple of actresses in mind for my Janine, depending on how we wanted to roll with Janine, because we haven't really talked about.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about.
We didn't really talk about Janine. So the Janine, like we talked about, is a very sort of like Harley Quinn type of like.
That's how she exists.
That's how she exists in the current thing.
Yes.
And I was thinking of like, what's a modern equivalent of that? And so the first person I thought of was Ashley Crystal Hairston. She is primarily a voice actress, and she's the voice of. Did you watch the new Tiny Toons?
No.
No?
No, I don't think I knew there was a new Tiny Toons.
Yeah, there's Tiny Toons Looniversity on HBO Max.
I had no idea.
It's awesome. Rules.
I loved Tiny Toons growing up.
It's so so did I. It was like my it was like It was like my big cartoon. Everyone else was like really into Animaniacs.
I still hold my
like
breath going under bridges and wish I was at Happy World Land.
Sure, but yeah, it's great. I highly recommend watching it. Anyway, she's the new voice of Babs on that. She also is the creator and voice of the new Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh,
that came back recently.
The live action or the animated one?
Animated one.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, she's got like a very specific voice, and it's like it's I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like it's got that sort of like nasally high quality, but it's just so charming, and she's just like this endless ball of energy, you know, and so she's really great. Then on the other direction of it, if we wanted to go in a more professional, like versus like exactly what Janine is, but modern, if we want to go in more a professional direction, somebody who's like, do you think that's a good idea? You know, like that kind of energy. I was thinking of Quinta Brunson.
Sure. Okay.
From Abbott Elementary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quinta Brunson is also a good choice.
Yeah.
I like Quinta Brunson a lot. If we went with Quinta Brunson, do you think that she would pair better?
I think she would pair better with Joe Pera.
Okay.
Because I think they would have like similar, like I just like the idea of two very soft-spoken people flirting soft-spokenly to each other, just like kind of matching each other's energy.
Yeah. That's different than going from the like we're got glasses and we're nerds from the 80s which is what we had.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay, cool.
And the only other role I have left is Walter Peck.
Yep.
Tell me about your Walter Peck.
Well, so again, I was between two people, but like I was just thinking like Walter Peck. Okay, so he's vaguely intimidating.
Sure.
Right? Although we talked about him being a little more conniving than the Walter Peck in the movie.
Correct.
By like having him be a little bit of like a opportunist.
Right. Tech bro just trying to take advantage of something that he can sell.
Yeah, but I also wanted to make him a little older than them, therefore like putting like that kind of energy on it where it's like I'm older than all of you idiots, like I'm just gonna take this over, you know. So I was waffling between two people. One is Michael Emerson.
I don't remind me.
He's from Lost, and he was most recently he's in the show Evil on CBS, and he's kind of that guy character actor. Let me pull up a picture of him so you can see Michael Emerson.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Michael Emerson.
Got it.
Great actor.
Yes.
I think he would be really good at the opportunistic side. The other guy that I thought of was Chukwudi Iwuji from Guardians 3, the villain of Guardians 3.
I haven't seen Guardians 3 yet because I keep knowing I need to watch it, but deciding I don't want to be sad that evening.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It is definitely sad, but it's a good sad.
I know it's good, and I keep every time I remember it exists, I'm like, do I want to watch that tonight? I don't want to be sad though. And I'm like, I'll remember it another night, and then a month will go by.
Yeah.
But I have every intention of watching it, just hasn't happened yet. So I don't know this actor either.
Fair enough. Well, he was in Peacemaker. Did you watch Peacemaker?
Some of it.
Okay, he's in Peacemaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the guy who is like part of the team, but he's like constantly annoyed. I mean, everyone's annoyed
in that show.
Yeah, but he's like in particular.
Yes.
It's like
Okay. Yeah. All right. I understand.
Okay.
I can see what you're going for.
Okay.
I like everything that you're saying. It's someone who inherently charming, but slightly older, and so therefore sees himself as an authority figure, and as if they should just trust him, and he knows what he's doing, and just let him have the thing.
Yeah.
I also went with someone who, like the Walter Peck in the original movie, certainly seems tall.
Okay.
I went with Stephen Merchant.
Stephen Merchant. Okay. He is. Isn't he extremely tall?
He's extremely tall.
Yeah. That's interesting. I've never seen him play like a bad guy.
He's the Nazi in Jojo Rabbit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I only saw that once in a test screening.
Yeah.
So.
I like that movie a lot more than you do.
No, I like that movie. I really
still
do.
stand by that.
Yeah. No, I do like that movie. I don't really understand why everyone hated it so much.
That was wild to me.
Yeah.
I
sometimes that happens, and you're just like,
well,
what? Really?
And sometimes I understand, like, okay, I understand that logic. Not this time though.
No.
I genuinely just thought this. Oh, you don't think we should make fun of Hitler? The person, the whole thing about fascists is that if you make them look cool, no matter if you say they're a bad guy, that just gives them strength. You have to lampoon them. You have to make them look silly and stupid. Yeah. That's the only way you take away their power.
Right. That's what Mel Brooks said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Smart guy. So you know what he was talking about.
Yeah. Anyway. So my issue with Steve, I really like Stephen Merchant, but my issue with Stephen Merchant is he's just too affable looking to me.
I know.
Yeah. I just don't know if I buy him as Peck. But we can go with it if you feel strongly about Stephen Merchant.
I'd push us to Stephen Merchant just because I think it'd be a little bit fun to just like have a little bit of like this guy shows up and you're like, oh, Stephen Merchant's here. He's trying to do what?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Because like that's kind of what happens with Walter Peck anyway. He shows up a halfway through the movie, and you're just like, what's and like because the guy shows up in the movie as it exists, and we're just like, oh, we hate this man.
Yeah.
I don't want to initially hate him, but then I want him to say things that make us hate him.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because like he's the tech guy who's there to like, no, it's a great idea, it's a great deal. Have you heard of multi-level marketing? No, great. So what we've
yeah.
So what we've got.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
There was a moment where I also had him as director, and I was like, no, that's crazy. Because he directed Fighting with My Family.
Yeah, I love Fighting with My Family.
I also love Fighting with My Family, and I was like, he's a good director, but like that's kind of the only thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not enough.
No.
And it's not for like, and this is a big genre movie. I love Fighting with My Family, but it doesn't work for this.
No, not for this.
But do you have any other cast?
No, that's all.
Then let's talk about writer and director.
Okay.
Let's start with writer. I'm sorry. Do you have separate or do you have a hyphenate?
I have separate.
Okay.
Separate. So for writer, like I said, I really want the script to work from a horror standpoint and a scary standpoint. So, but I wanted somebody who knows that world, but can also write like really strong characters and like, that are, funny to watch, but knows how to like pull tension and all of that. So I went with Brian Duffield.
Okay, great.
Who is the writer of No One Can Save You on Hulu, and before that, the film Spontaneous. He was the writer-director of both of those.
He also did Love and
movies.
Monsters.
Yes, he wrote Love and Monsters, and but did not direct it. And then he also wrote.
2020 was going to be his year, and then stuff happened.
Yeah, something happened. And then Underwater, which was like that Kristen Stewart. Spook, scary underwater movie.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I like him. I've used him before for the podcast because I like him.
Yeah.
And because I think Love and Monsters is better than anyone remembers because no one watched it.
That's very true. So yeah, I went with Brian Duffield.
If anything,
for my
I think I
writer.
might have recommended it to you. I don't remember. Doesn't matter.
Know. I watched it on New Year's Day. I know. Like
of this year?
2021.
Oh,
yeah.
Then you probably saw it before me.
But
I did not recommend it. I don't know.
Yeah. I was in desperate need of movies to put into my top 10 list that year.
Oh, yeah, fair. You found a good one.
Yeah, I did.
I liked it.
I think it ended up on my top 10.
Yeah,
so,
good.
yeah. So, yeah, that's who I went with. Who'd you go with?
I wanted someone. So, what I ended up doing was I needed comedy. Because I didn't want to necessarily rely on improv. I wanted there to be the opportunity to be like, let's feed the comedy, but I also need someone who can write genre. And so this is a writer who worked on The Good Place and Watchmen. And in the last year, his big thing, it's not genre, but it played around a little bit with that in American Fiction. I went with Cord Jefferson.
Oh, that's good. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, sure.
Like, theoretically, I don't necessarily think of him as being like, write the great love story of our time, which a version of Ghostbusters could be. And I think of Brian Duffield as like, if you need someone to do genre romance, he's the best. Well, he's not the best. He's very good.
Yeah, he's very good. I mean, I will say like, No One Will Save You is just. I mean, I don't think there's really a romance there, but yeah.
No, but I'm thinking of Spontaneous and Love and Monsters.
Sure. I mean, yeah, a Spontaneous there's definitely a love story while also being a metaphor for school shootings, but yes.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think you know what? I would say if Cord Jefferson was interested in writing this, I'd say, yeah, sure, go ahead.
But let's see how that pairs up with our director.
Okay, great. So who did you pick?
My director is, I wanted someone who could be funny and who can do action. And his original background is weird shit.
Okay.
Because he got his start with Flight of the Conchords.
Okay.
He directed Dora and the Lost City of Gold. And he also directed the 2 modern Muppet movies.
Right.
And that is James Bobbin.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to really push for mine.
That's fine. I thought that might be the case.
Yeah, I don't. Nothing against Bobbin. I think Bobbin's good. I just don't think that it's the right vibe for this.
That's fair.
So I wanted a director who had experience in horror and also
that is the thing that I'm missing.
Specifically, horror with a nice healthy vein of comedy in it.
Yeah.
And so there were, to me, the best guys doing that right now are Radio Silence. So I went with Tyler Gillett and Matt Bentinelli-Olpin, commonly known as Radio Silence. They are the directors of Ready or Not, Scream 6, or Scream 2022, Scream 6, and most recently Abigail.
Cool. That works for me.
Okay, great.
Because I think you're absolutely right. I neglected the horror aspect, and I think that's an incredibly important thing. Mm-hmm. And if we have a writer who knows comedy and directors who know horror, I think that that's good.
Yeah, I think so too. And they are directors who tend to develop their movies with their writer. So it wouldn't even be, they'd be all working in tandem together, you know? So it'd be like perfect, I think.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And because it's a reboot, we don't have a tagline. It's just Ghostbusters.
Yes.
All right. So
Ghostbusters 2024.
Yes. Venkman is going to be John Mulaney. Ray Stantz is going to be Zoe Chow. Egon Spengler is going to be Martin Starr. Dana Barrett is going to be Rose Byrne. Winston Zedmore will be Natasha Rothwell. Louis Tully will be Joe Pera. Janine Melnitz will be Quinta Brunson. Walter Peck will be Stephen Merchant. All of this will be written by Cord Jefferson and then directed by Radio Silence, which is Tyler Gillett and Matt Bettinelli-Olpin. That is Ghostbusters.
That's a good movie. I want to go to there.
Yeah. This is going to be fun. I like this. Scott, thank you again so much for closing out the Halloweenish movies of the month.
Yeah, sure.
As always.
Yes, of course.
Let people know where they can find your 2 current podcasts and you potentially online if they so choose.
Yeah, you can find me at I'm hosting podcasts and producing shows at duelinggenre.com. And all of the podcasts over there, but I host Franchisography and The Doctor's Companion. The Doctor's Companion being a Doctor Who podcast where we talk about every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time.
And if people wanted to potentially have conversations about either of those things, where might they go?
The Dueling Genre Discord.
No
which
way.
Is the coolest place in town. Yeah, it's the best place on the internet, truly.
That is true.
Yeah.
And there is a link to it in the show notes of this very episode.
Yeah. I have basically quit all of social media except Discord at this point because I'm like, what's the point of anything else? So yeah, there you go.
It's where I find out about things like the Great WJ Book Swap. It's what I did with my Saturday. Yeah. Awesome. Scott, thank you again so much. If anyone is interested in finding me, I am still on social media because I have a problem. I am at Ideal Remake on Instagram, or I am at Sam Gasch, SamGasch on BlueSky. So I think Scott is looking up, knowing exactly what I'm about to ask him, because we will end this episode the same way we end every episode. Scott, what is your favorite quote from the movie Ghostbusters?
That is an impossibly hard question, but I'm going to have to go with the very subtle. Listen, do you smell something?
It's so good. I had a moment of pause after that line because you forget that line's in the movie, and it went past me as I was on this watch through, and I was like, "Wait, that's really funny." Yeah, yes.